Yeah, I'll be honest. I just want to hear that song again. Uh, what? This would have been a great answer. Too bad we don't have that option. I don't want to promise something like that.
I really hope I didn't make things worse for you. If I did...
If you did, it's not your fault, Grace. I know how the Muse's power works. Somewhere within me, I wanted this. I knew it wasn't working.
At least now there's a chance it could get better.
Now then, Grace. You needed my help. No doubt regarding Calliope's death. Have you any suspicions as to who might be responsible?
Not really. Someone at the reliquary for sure.
I'm not sure. Calliope was attacked at the reliquary, so it had to be someone who had access.
So that's where she went.
Calliope came to see us that night. She was agitated, frightened even, but she wouldn't explain why.
She said she had a plan. It must have been the reliquary.
Again, can I just stop and say that the performances in this game are absolutely incredible. I can't imagine the nightmare that it would have been to have a vision for a game that's a musical, to tell a wonderful story, and to find talented voice actors who can not only deliver authentic performances in terms of just dialogue, but also sing and make it believable. This has just been a really good story. I gotta say it again, I would love to see this made into a movie. So good.
She was frightened, so she knew this was gonna happen. It wasn't a surprise.
Unless she was talking about something else.
That seems unlikely, love. If only we'd known she intended to go to the reliquary, of all places!
I thought she meant, one of her usual plans.
I'm afraid I can't offer much help, Grace. Few have access to the reliquary. I certainly do not, and I don't know who does. If Medusa was there, I'd ask her why and how. There are always motives lurking within her motives.
Come now, Mother. It's time you rested. It's been a long night.
If I don't, I suppose you'll both gang up on me again. Very well.
Love her voice actress as well. Love it. Beautiful scene, beautiful moment. Great. I want to hear that song again. Well done.
So, did they have anything helpful? Medusa. That's a rather dark name to unearth. Are you thinking of seeking her out?
I have to. How else will I find out what she knows?
You need to be careful, Grace. Medusa is not to be toyed with. Athena employs her as a spy master, a hound to do her bidding, a vicious hound at that. Athena's not likely to tell either of us where to find Medusa. I can't say for certain who would know. Are you all right, Grace? You seem troubled.
They keep referring to Medusa as a monster, and they did the same thing with the Minotaur, and same thing with Persephone. But isn't Medusa's story very similar to Persephone's in that she was once a beautiful woman, and somebody was jealous of her, so they cursed her where no man could look upon her, or something like that. Somebody was jealous of her or something. It's not a happy story. It's always a miserable to be a woman in a Greek story seems to be like a really bad deal. Like, it's tragic fate seems to be around the corner. Thinking about Calliope, I'm fine.
What Aphrodite went through, it's a lot.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about the life of an immortal. It never ends.
Wow. Way to really sell it, Apollo.
Unless you don't pass on your idol.
How are things with Persephone? Is she helping as much as you thought?
What, are you worried? You brought me to her.
All I mean to ask is, has she said anything?
About...
No, never mind. It's none of my business. Please forget I asked. Give my regards to Persephone when you see her.
Nope, nope. Wait a minute. What was that about? Okay, we missed something there. Something juicy.
Ugh, Apollo. Always so dramatic. And well done, by the way. You may be the very first person ever to talk sense into Aphrodite.
Why didn't you tell me what it was really all about?
The party? Or the veil lifting, and Calliope's memories eventually returning?
Yeah, either.
It's not something you can prepare for. I thought this was the best way. I remember the last time I passed on my Eidolon. 1952. I was married to, well, say you'd call him a gangster. More of a thug. A mean, vicious little thug. Persephone saved me from him. Tore his head clean off. But not before he fired a shotgun into her chest. My chest? Whatever.
Okay, so she's still in there, whoever this person is, mixed with... Oh, with Persephone.
Do you remember who you were before?
I still am her. Chastity, that is. You can see why I switched names. I remember being disgusted I was ever that weak. Persephone made me strong. But it never really goes away. We all have our sordid history, our personal horrors, building up like sediment around our souls. You can't let it bury you, Grace. You are the only one who can keep your head afloat.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay, so more love or I'll be fine. Thanks for that. That's pretty harsh. You know what it is.
You're incredible. You know that?
There's no need to be facetious, Grace.
No, really.
I am incredible. It's true. It's good that you recognize this.
Okay, I take it back.
Oh, boy.
Oh, you can't take it back, Grace. I would have thought you'd learned that by now.
Wait, what's happening? I wasn't expecting another song.
After centuries of cruel injustice, everybody working against me, every idol but for one, violent with apathy. We couldn't reach a resolution, but you and I, I'm queen of the underworld, and you, Grace, you. Something seems familiar about you. Have we met some lifetime ago? Gods like me don't have too much to hope for. The rules been fixed throughout the ages. So I have forged a daring path. I would like to make some changes. You see, we can win a revolution, you and I, you and I. I'm queen of the underworld, and you, Grace, you. You are a queen, you're old, your dominion, and in my opinion, you're on the right track. It sounds like they heard you, defied or usurped you. It's time that you kick 'em right back.
Oh, wait a minute.
You've got one big mouth on you, don't you? Yet it's me who's closing in. Think I like that mouth on Time to go home. Get out of here, Grace.
What is happening to our story? I don't know what's happening to our story. I can't tell if we're in control or losing it completely. Day 4, I should go confront Medusa. Yeah, probably, but go talk to Freddy, because we haven't talked to Freddy in a while. I did not expect that song.
Hey, so what's the news, Miss Muse?
Miss Muse.
Well, does a muse have a proper form of address? I just want to hear what exciting adventures you've been having.
Well, I stopped the goddess of love from killing herself, I guess.
Whoa. Do gods have interventions? You know, they're nothing like I thought they would be. Everything else okay, though? Do we know who the killer is yet?
Not just yet, no.
Okay, well, let me know if there's anything I can do. If I have to hustle to become your high priestess, well, so be it.
All right, well, let's ask some questions.
Exactly how much do you know about the Greek gods, Freddy?
I know my Greek mythology, but what I've read clearly doesn't line up with who they are today. Or who they ever were, maybe.
Still might be useful. There's gotta be some truth to those stories, right?
Maybe? Who do you want to hear about?
Medusa, mainly.
What about Apollo?
Okay, so the prophecy stuff checks out. Apollo was god of the sun and light, but also kind of enlightenment in general. He's always talked about as this beautiful and cultured god involved with the arts and the muses, kind of a Renaissance man before the Renaissance.
He's clearly had a rough time since those days.
Well, he was also a giant horn dog, Grace. I can list off like a dozen men and women Apollo has had as lovers, and there's probably more.
Weren't they all like that, though?
I mean, Apollo's no Zeus. He never assaulted anyone as a swan. And no, they aren't all like that. Our sun god had a reputation.
Okay.
Tell me what you know about Persephone.
Honestly, she's the least like her stories. Usually, she's either a victim or just the wife of Hades, or both.
And that's it? She was kidnapped by Hades, end of story?
Pretty much. Her mother was so angry she created winter. But otherwise, Persephone was just your average sweet and virginal fertility goddess.
You're right, that doesn't sound like her at all.
Must be hard to be defined by this one thing that happened to you thousands of years ago. I'd be pissed if everyone thought my story ended there.
Well, she is pretty pissed. That much is true.
That's a fact.
You said Pan was some kind of lust god, right?
Yeah, kind of. Pan's a god of the wild, and I guess that translates into sort of lustfulness and earthiness, humping nymphs in the forest sort of thing.
And you don't like him?
Honestly, he's exactly what I'd expect him to be. All the stories say he's a lech and a beast. The Christians equated him with the devil. Weirdly, he's also the only god who's supposed to have died, though it's never really clear how or why. Anyhow, there's a great statue depicting Pan having sex with a goat. Next time you see him, you gotta ask him about it.
Okay, then.
Do you know anything about the Muses? Or Calliope in particular?
Yeah, for starters, there were supposed to be 9, though I guess there are some sources that said there were only 4, maybe 3. Each of the muses had her specialty. Did you know that Calliope is supposed to be the muse of epic poetry? She inspired the Odyssey.
Wow. I don't even like poetry.
Yeah, it was said her singing voice was unmatched. So they got that part right, at least.
Did she also lead the ancient Greeks in giant choreographed dance numbers?
No, but she once turned a bunch of snobby princesses into magpies, so there's that.
Wait, so she has more than just the power of singing, then she can also turn people into animals.
What about Athena? Is she really supposed to be the goddess of wisdom?
Sure, but mostly that's meant as tactical knowledge. Athena wasn't all sweetness and light. She was a warrior goddess. She was also the goddess of heroes. There are loads of stories where Athena helps guys like Odysseus or Jason or Perseus.
No female heroes back in those days?
Yeah, guess not. Women were the weaker sex, which maybe is why Athena was portrayed as being vindictive. She cursed Medusa, one of her own priestesses. She turned people into spiders, struck them blind, started the Trojan War. It's the whole thing.
Not being as wise as advertised is on brand for her, then.
Okay, all right. Learned a little something about Medusa.
Just how many of these gods are there? From what I've heard, lots of idols live around here.
Well, there are tons of minor gods in Greek mythology, hundreds even, depending on how you define them. Oddly, there's never any mention of the word idols in relation to them. Maybe it's like how people worshipped idols?
I sort of assumed it was related to the eidolon.
Which is a Greek word, but I think it means ghost. An image of someone after they die.
Makes sense.
Me? I'm more amazed at all the big names missing. Not just Zeus and Hades, most of the Olympians seem to be gone. Makes you think about what's been lost, but also what might still be out there.
Well, you know what happened to Hades, so...
You think there might be other gods out there?
Well, there are all those gods the idols say wandered off. We don't know they're dead for sure, right? They could be living it up in Australia. Who would know? Then there are all the other mythologies, hundreds of cultures, each with their own pantheon. So what's so special about the Greeks? That only their gods are real, right? All those other pantheons could be living in secrecy, just like the idols. And that means they're hidden from each other, too. Oh, they could be everywhere, and no one would know.
It's like a whole other secret side to the world.
Yeah, it's cool, right? I hope I get to meet Ganesha one day. Or maybe Lakshmi?
I know Ganesha. I don't know Lakshmi. I feel like I've heard the name, though. Love that idea because that means this is opening up to a sequel. We can meet some Egyptian gods, some Hindu gods, some Buddhist gods. Oh, it's going to be great. Enough about mythology.
I wonder how much of those stories are true.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I'm giving you the quick version. There are reams of textbooks out there covering all this, but even they rarely agree with each other.
Really? Nothing definitive?
Ancient Greece was 3,000 years ago, Grace. Not much information survived all that time, if it was even valid to begin with.
Okay, well.
What are Kaz and Brian up to? You didn't tell them anything, did you?
No, I told them you came home, that you're okay, but that you're having a moment. They send their love.
Should we tell them, do you think?
What for? They have their own problems. Plus, Brian can't keep a secret to save his life, and Kaz is officially homeless.
Is he still crashing on Brian's couch?
Grace, you do know that Brian doesn't have a couch, right? Just some giant beanbag things?
Then where is Kaz
Oh.
Yeah, it's cute. They'll tell us when they're ready. But right now, it's best just to not mix them up in this.
Okay. What else?
I should really apologize about the band. This kind of puts a dent in your plans, doesn't it?
You're right, Grace. How dare you sabotage my dreams? I am so mad I could spit.
You know what I mean. Nobody could have seen this coming, sure, but it's always been something with me.
Well, as I see it, there are two ways this goes down. One, neither of us gets back to the band. It was just a thing we did for a while before I founded a cult in your name. Or two, we get back to it and the band now has the Muse as its lead singer. Edge of Elysium becomes the coolest and most appropriate band name ever.
Ugh, I still really hate that name.
Look, Grace, you can't be the source of all the drama and name the band, okay? That's the rule.
I vote change the name too, but what do I know? Idols.
You know what I find weird? That the idols have managed to remain completely secret all these years. Sure, they have magic and whatnot, but in all this time, nobody's found them out? Athena is that good?
Who says nobody has found them out? The way I see it, it's like UFOs.
Okay, I have to hear this.
Okay, so you could have real evidence that UFOs exist and that governments have covered it up and people still wouldn't believe it. Why? Because they'd get laughed at if they admitted it. Imagine the headline, Greek gods exist and are living among us. What website would even run that?
Weird conspiracy ones. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I gotta admit, that's very appropriate for the time that we're living in right now with all the alien questions going on. But also, I think you have a better chance of people approving aliens than you do Greek gods. Well, I think that's all I got.
Okay, that's enough questions for now.
You sure? I can talk all day. You know I can.
I'll check back with you soon, Freddy. Time for more mystery solving.
Plus, I run out of questions, otherwise I'd talk all day with you.
This must be the Viper's Nest. Scariest part of town, no sign. Just that one dude glaring at everyone. Well, I'm here now. Just another day in the life of an idol.
Ugh, there you are. Man, this place is the worst. I think someone peed on me.
Freddy? What are you doing here?
What, you thought I wouldn't notice you skulking off? You didn't even bring any equipment, Grace.
Okay, why do you have a mace?
Freddy, please tell me you don't think you're some kind of adventurer.
I'm sorry. Are you not about to head into a monster's lair at great personal peril? What else would you call that?
You're such a dork. I adore you.
Good, because I'm not about to let you wander in there without backup. Who knows? Maybe the stuff I know about Medusa might actually apply. Well, that'd be a switch.
All right. Well, let's find out the stone
Do you
thing.
think she actually turns people to stone?
Let's hope not, or this could be a short visit. Or a really, really long one.
I'm serious.
Perseus used a mirror to reflect Medusa's gaze back at her. Oh, maybe you could use your phone.
You think that would work?
Unless you brought a mirror, Grace, it's all you got.
This plan feels half-baked. Like, seriously half-baked. Not
Okay,
done.
I'll bite. What do you know about Medusa?
Well, you know she was human once, right? And she was cursed?
Apollo mentioned it, yeah.
Cursed by Athena. Or so one of the stories goes, anyway.
But doesn't she work for Athena?
Hey, don't look at me. My knowledge of this stuff stops at a few thousand years ago.
Okay, last question.
She was once human, but she's definitely a monster, right?
Yeah, one of the worst. But, you know, so was the Minotaur.
My point.
Asterion said she was scary. I have a feeling she's not like him.
Then I guess you need to be prepared for the possibility that she is as bad as the legends say. Though some of the stories also say that she was wronged by Athena and that what was done to her was an injustice.
And Athena just follows the rules, right?
Let's do it. I'm all excited for meeting Medusa.
Okay, enough talking. Time to do this.
Y'all have hyped her up.
You have a plan for how we're getting inside, I hope?
Maybe. You're here to help?
Always.
Then I have a plan.
We are going to find another distraction.
Hi, this is where the comic convention is, right? I hope I'm not too late for the signing.
Ma'am, I'm afraid you had the wrong address.
What? No. Oh god, no. No, that can't be right. Do you understand the indignities that I have endured? The weird looks, the body odors? Someone spilled coffee all over my cosplay outfit. No, do not tell me that I got
just
it wrong.
keep them
I spent
busy while
$50
I'm
on this
around.
ticket. I demand my personal photo.
Okay, here's my thing. She had the mace, so kind of a big deal that we just left her out front. Also, I'm pretty sure I saw Pan behind her. So there's an option where Pan could have been with us.
What a long day, hiding in the light. Such a long day, dreaming of tonight. This sacred bite. Hello, who's that there? You've messed up my flow. Just get your drink, girl, and take your seat. It's the Muse. There are sacred bites, and then there's this sacred bite. So wrong, so right. I'm really gonna hate myself tonight.
Right, let's play. I'm sure you can bite, okay. But you get a fight today. You're fighting Grace this time. And this time's mine. This time.
For
is mine.
centuries, these heroes got sent to me. Each one of them bent to me.
Not meant to be this time.
This time and all time.
'Cause this time's mine.
This time's mine. This time's just
This
like
time
every time.
is mine.
Now look into me. Your body glows freely every time as it tenders, turning jelly as it renders. What'd you say, Grace? You okay, Grace? Where's the game face this time? You are currently experiencing something I like to call the preparation. Any questions or comments? That's right, it is widely known that I can turn folks to stone. But oh, I won't this time. Because this time I find dine. That oozy musey bloods my wine this time. Look into me. Oh, she's looking away. Hey, look
You flipped that hood.
me.
Then out came the snakes. You're so good. Finally, some stakes. Oh, the ice thing. What a difference an actual monster makes. Murdering muses.
Helps me relax.
I should sound out Athena about your naughty night snacks. Me and Athena need to touch base. I'll say what I've seen.
I'm getting quite keen to chew off that face. Now look into
Medusa, look into your own eyes. Okay, that's not gonna work on you. Well, let's get a proper view. I'm seeing a snake's hairdo, but you got that body too. Honestly, you look fine.
Stop trying.
This time.
Don't look at me.
If somebody says you're fine.
You're lost, little girl. No more Hail Marys. We both know the fine ones you, the monsters, me.
Don't know, you don't know.
I do know that you didn't.
Kill Calliope. So you know that it's true that I didn't do it.
No.
Yes, you do know, you know. Does that mean Athena knows?
No. Fine grace, I'll take.
Just like fate made you, fate played me. Just like
And I won't see what your eyes see when you look at me. Don't look at me.
You think that will hurt me, child? You have not done your homework.
Oh, sorry, just trying to get your attention. Yeah, I've been watching, and I'm willing to bet you can't turn me to stone before I burn your snakes off.
Careful, Freddy. It's not a gamble I'm willing to take.
Yeah, the thing is, Grace, neither is she.
You ready to talk?
Fine, fine. What exactly is it that you want, pretty muse?
You were at the reliquary the night Calliope was murdered. I want to know why.
Blast! This is why I didn't tell Lady Athena. I knew it would come back to haunt me. I only followed pretty Calliope to the reliquary. I never spoke to her, never even caught up to her. I swear it.
That's what Asterion told us, more or less.
But you were there that night.
Yes, I admit it. Ugh, Lady Athena will have my head. She'll mount it on a pike. Whatever you might think of me, I had no part in the Muse's death. I did not even know she'd been attacked until I saw her fleeing.
This is the first battle that I was completely unsure of how to play. Like, I didn't know if we should treat her like a monster or try and do the sympathy route. That one was confusing for me. Also, that song was a little confusing for me.
Asterion said he caught up with you out in the fog. Is that right?
I thought he was the one who had attacked her. He is a great beast of a creature.
He killed Hecate's cat by accident, but this still seems hard to believe.
Yes, I only realized my mistake once I caught up to him, and by then the Muse was gone.
And you never found her afterwards?
I thought she might flee to her pretty home, or to the sharp and prickly Persephone, but she did neither.
Yeah, she came to see me. You followed Calliope to the reliquary. Why were you shadowing her at all?
I am Lady Athena's spymaster, yes. Calliope has been trouble from time to time.
So you were spying on her?
I keep watch over every idol who no longer lives in Olympus, but especially Calliope. When I realized she was headed to the reliquary that eve, I followed. I had a duty to Athena.
All roads still leading to Athena.
Did you ever find out why Calliope went there?
I was never close enough to ask. When I drew near to the reliquary, that is when I saw the Muse fleeing. She was frightened, bloodied, dying.
Let me guess, that made you hungry.
I gave chase, yes, but to discover the truth. I knew Lady Athena would wish to know.
That does make sense from your perspective.
I didn't learn the truth until later. And then it was far too late.
You haven't told Athena any of this?
Do I need to light things up again? 'Cause I'll do it.
I told her Calliope was at the reliquary that night. I did not tell her I was also there.
Why not? Wouldn't Athena find out from Hecate anyway?
I was not thinking clearly. I panicked. Lady Athena barely tolerates my presence as it is. If she thought I was involved in any way, if she even suspected...
Why should we believe you? You did just try to eat me, remember?
I am telling you the truth.
Right, and not at all trying to cover your own ass.
You presented an opportunity. To taste the sweet, sweet blood of a hero once again. It's a problem. I've been working on it, I really have.
Uh-huh.
That's funny.
Well, what of Pan? The only reason I knew Calliope was going to the reliquary is because he informed me.
So much for never lying to me.
What were the odds, honestly?
Let's put a pin in that for the moment, shall we?
I am a monster. It's true. I do not deny it. It's still, I did not kill the Muse.
Well, that's all I got. Please don't eat us on the way out.
Okay, let's say we believe you. For the moment.
Whatever you do, pretty Muse, I beg you. Do not tell Athena of my indiscretion. Show mercy. I know what I am horrifies you. It horrifies me as well. I cannot help what I am. I did not ask to be cursed like this.
Have you done this? Don't have that.
Indiscretion, huh? It's quite the word for it.
I cannot apologize for my hunger. I can only apologize that I am so very weak in the face of it.
I'll think about it.
I am a lost and cursed thing. No idol. And if Lady Athena should learn the truth... I hope you find what you seek, pretty muse. And that we meet again someday. And sing a different song.
We can't help but not feel a little bit bad for her.
He knew. Right from the start, Pan knew Calliope was there that night.
Yeah, and who could have foreseen that he was lying to you the entire time? Who, I ask you? A mystery even the Oracle couldn't have penetrated.
Okay, fine, whatever.
Yes, fine. You were right, Freddy. As always. Ha! See, was that so hard?
Anyhow, you probably have a few questions for Mr. Goatman. I'll see you at home.
Awesomeness.
Would you really have tried to burn Medusa's face off? With an aerosol can?
Hell yeah! One hint of googly eyes and...
What would I do without you?
You'll never need to answer that question, Grace.
Okay, don't say things like that, because, you know, that's bad luck. That's a bad sign. You start saying things like, you'll never lose me. The time of my life.
Oh.
And, oh.
If it isn't, the lovely Grace?
You knew. Right from the start, you knew Calliope was there that night.
Well, yes. She asked for the key and I gave it to her, no questions asked. I told you I didn't know what happened to Calliope, and that's the truth. I did not. So I nudged you in the right direction.
Okay.
So you were what? Just trying to be helpful? You still aren't telling me something.
I got mad loud.
What possible reason would I have to...
Tell me, right now.
Medusa learned that Calliope was going to the reliquary because I told her. Now, before you say anything, I had no idea of the fate awaiting our dear muse. And you yourself said Medusa was not responsible. I simply had to know if I'd inadvertently, rather innocently...
Got her killed.
Sold her out? She came to you for help, and you gave her whereabouts to the highest bidder.
I am trying to help, Grace. In my way.
What do you mean, in my way? What way is that?
The way where I don't take all the blame.
What else will I discover, Pan? I'd rather learn it now than later.
I wish I could tell you, Grace. I truly do.
Is it? Maybe we had done the song with him earlier. He would have told us, but we screwed that up, so I'm gonna head back home for now. I'm not gonna talk to Persephone real quick, see how she's doing. Let's just see. Maybe she's in a better mood.
Back again so soon, Grace? You're practically a regular at the club. Did you end up finding Medusa? Or did she vanish the moment you came near, like she does with every other idol?
She definitely did not vanish. Maybe I better explain what happened.
I knew it. We never should have brought that monster to the New World. Athena is a fool to think Medusa can be controlled. You're fortunate to have made it out in one piece. It could have gone very poorly for you.
I don't know anymore.
You're right. I should have brought you to protect little old defenseless me.
I hate this banter too.
If I'd gone, you would have found nothing more than an empty building, I assure you.
Because you're so big and scary.
I'm glad you appreciate my finer qualities.
At any rate, Medusa might be in the clear. Pan, however, is not.
I don't imagine you've confronted him yet.
He admitted to selling out Calliope, but not to killing her. I don't know if I can believe him.
Nor I. Pan would do anything to save his own skin. Allow me some time to consider our next move. On a different matter, I've had time to do some thinking. I may have been too dismissive after Aphrodite's party. You no doubt have many questions about the Eidolon and Calliope's memories.
Apollo told me a little about it. He did say I should talk to you, though.
Did he now? Is there anything you'd like to ask?
Everything.
When all these memories start to return, will I feel different?
First, you'll have dreams. Places you've never been, people you've never met. But unlike with normal dreams, these will linger. Then they will come while you're awake. Sudden flashes or snippets of déjà vu. And sometimes it will seem so real you'll swear you're hallucinating. If there's anything difficult about the process, is that it becomes hard to differentiate between your life and all these other lives you're now recalling.
It does sound confusing.
Confusing and often unpleasant, as not all the memories will be fond ones. But that will pass in time.
That sounds horrible still.
You said it becomes hard to differentiate your life from the others. How hard, exactly? It'll still be me, right?
Oh, how do I explain this? Grace, would you say that you are who you are because of your experiences? The things you've lived and done?
Yes.
I guess so, sure.
Well, all the things Calliope has done, and those before her, will now be yours. They will feel like a part of your life as well. Thus, they can't help but shape you. The Grace that is now will be and will have done so much more. Fortunately, you don't have to deal with every memory. Each time the Eidolon passes on, the oldest memories fade, and that helps.
And is also kind of sad. That means whatever they are, whatever the gods really are, kind of disappears as time moves forward.
Wait, how is it good that old memories start to fade?
Think of how old we are, Grace. If all those memories returned to you with perfect clarity, they would destroy you.
Yeah, but doesn't that mean you've all forgotten so much?
Well, far more than we remember. The further I think back, the more it becomes a bit of a blur, actually. You'll recall important moments. Some will be mixed up with the stories mortals tell, and you won't be sure which is the memory and which is the story. An idol's memory is a series of islands in a dark ocean, and they become smaller and smaller as they recede into the horizon. It sounds dire, but you become accustomed to it. It just takes time. And now you have all the time in the world.
For better or worse.
How many times have you died? Can I ask that?
We call it passing on. I've lost track of just how many times I've passed on my Eidolon. A dozen? It's happened less often in more recent eras.
And the one you told me about, the woman married to that gangster, she was the most recent?
I don't think of Chastity as a she. That was me, just as the one my husband blasted with a shotgun was also me. It was one of the few times I wasn't able to prepare my successor. We were friends, yes, but I didn't know what Persephone was, and I had no idea what I'd just become.
That must have been difficult.
It was more difficult taking over my dead husband's territory. Women weren't often mobsters in those days.
Okay, then.
Were you really a gangster? I've heard it said, but it sounds...
Let me put it this way. I felt as if I'd been blessed by a dying woman who saved me from a prison of my own making. I didn't know what I was, but I was free. I felt more alive than I'd ever felt before, and strong enough to toss an ox 10 feet. Did I set out to become a mobster? Not exactly. My husband's friends thought I'd murdered him, however, so they came after me. And one thing led to another.
Oh, I see.
Athena found me just as my memories were starting to return. I wasn't permitted to continue doing something so noticeable, so I was carted off to Olympus. It's too bad, really. I was an excellent mobster.
Okay, then. We already know the answer, sure.
Wait, you said that Persephone passed on her Eidolon as she lay dying. What if she had just died?
The Eidolon will keep us alive for a time, even in the most horrific circumstances, in hopes that there's someone to pass it on to.
What if there isn't? What if Chastity had died before you were shot?
Well, then the line of Persephone would have ended then and there. Oh, there are some stories that say an eidolon will go wandering, that it never really dies. And who knows if there's any truth to that. It's not exactly something we've had the opportunity to study. All we know is that many idols have left us forever. They've died, and that's how it happens.
It's a lot to consider. Assuming I'll even have time to worry about it, what with the trial coming.
Either the trial will end poorly, in which case all of this is moot, or it will end well, and you will have plenty of time to digest.
Yeah, thanks for the update.
I'm a realist, Grace. It's what I'm best at. Now then, unless you've something else to ask.
I mean, the only person that's not on our side at this point is Athena. Oh god, there's more questions. Okay.
Are you willing to talk about Hades? If you don't want to, that's fine. I'm just...
Incredibly curious how I ended up murdering my husband?
That, yeah.
You know, one might think that my hatred of Hades began when he kidnapped me and forced me to be his bride. But honestly, that wasn't it. I hated my brothers and sisters for letting it happen, but Hades himself terrified me. He had a presence. I mean, one that forever made him the most important man in the room. And me? Oh, I was nothing in comparison. When Hades began doting on me, trying to earn my favor, I swooned that he might deign to think of me that way. For centuries, I actually thought I was in love, that the kidnapping was the best thing that ever happened to me. It's funny how our perspectives change.
Okay.
If you got along with Hades for so long, what changed?
I did. I grew up. I was a trophy for Hades. A conquest that he expected to remain meek and unchanging forever. He went out of his way to keep me small. I slowly realized that, he'd always been that way. Manipulation and arrogance behind the handsome sneer. We battled for centuries. I hated him, and I told him so, but he refused to part with me. He declared that I was his and would stay in the underworld where I belonged.
And that's when you killed him?
That's when I killed him, yes. The first time one idol had ever murdered another. Thank you very much.
Still haven't said how. How is this possible?
I'm guessing the other idols weren't thrilled with you killing Hades.
Well, yeah, they didn't know what to do with me. And Athena was furious that the most powerful remaining idol had been lost. See, this was before the war and before all the new rules. The chorus had never once contemplated execution, but they certainly considered it then. In the end, they decided it was better to humiliate me. They ensured I did not benefit from Hades' murder, and stripped the throne I had wrested from his grasp.
Which you weren't happy about.
I asked them where they were all those years while I pleaded for help. I was held captive, and what was I expected to do? What, lie down and take it forever because Hades was more useful to them alive? No. I stopped doing what was expected of me the day I slit his throat.
Ah, that's how.
May he rot in Tartarus with the Titans for all eternity.
That means this body that she's in now has memories of what hell is like. So that's gotta be terrifying. Okay, these are a lot of questions, man. Holy cow.
Tell me more about Calliope. You and her were good friends, right?
We were.
And
if you had told me a decade ago that I would become close to one of the muses, I would have laughed in your face. I always considered them Apollo's creatures. Calliope, Clio, and Talia. Vapid, frivolous gods who handed off their eidolon to any artist who took their fancy. Every time I met one of them, they were someone else. Apollo called them the Sisters of Beauty, no matter their gender. Can you imagine that? That's such a stupid name.
I never thought of that. Do idols change gender a lot?
Well, we tend to seek out successors like ourselves, but it happens. With the Muses, it happened frequently. Everywhere Apollo went, they surrounded him like a gaggle of ducklings, just like him to gather his own fans.
Okay.
If you disliked the Muses so much, how did you end up becoming friends with Calliope?
She sought me out. She'd become more and more unhappy on Olympus, so she decided to leave just as I had, long before. Calliope asked for my help, and I laughed in her face. Go ask one of your sycophant mortals, I told her. I mean, surely one of them has some threadbare couch you can sleep on.
Wow.
Typically, she was undeterred. She didn't just want a place to stay. She said she wanted to learn how to be truly independent from an idol who had mastered it. What can I say? I mean, I am a sucker for a well-timed compliment. I took her in. Apollo was furious. He and Calliope were barely speaking, but he was certain she'd come crawling back to Olympus. Oh, it made taking her in all the sweeter.
That's what the lighthouse is about, and their song was representing Olympus and her leaving Olympus. Okay, got it.
After you took Calliope in, that's when you became friends?
Well, no, not right away. I wasn't looking for a friend. What I was looking for was an opening act in the club. Calliope entertained here for years, and then eventually turned from performing to attracting new acts. She was in her element. She and I, we warmed up to each other eventually. She was more capable than I expected, and I adored her furious rants.
Calliope didn't seem like the furious type when I met her. That's hard to picture.
Oh, then you didn't really meet her. She was an idealist, and nobody could ever quite live up to her standards for very long. Her brothers and sisters, least of all. The idols needed to change, she said. They were withering away in the shadows, diminished and unwilling to save their own skins. When I joined the chorus, she expected me to change everything, as if I could single-handedly override Athena. I was to be her champion, and together we would bring revolution to the idols. Well, I was yet another disappointment. She left the club, but I gave her a place to live. We were supposed to stay in touch, but you know how it went from there.
Other muses.
What happened to the other muses? You mentioned 2 others. Were they lost in the war?
One of them was, though not like you think. The day we were to leave on the ship, Talia simply never showed up.
Do you know what happened to her?
We never heard from her again. Apollo thrashed about in mourning, but Talia had been fading away for years. It wasn't a surprise to the rest of us.
What about the other muse? Cleo?
Died long before. A victim at the hands of a mortal man, when she no longer possessed the power to bedazzle him. As I understand it, he kept her in a cage as a pet until her eidolon shriveled up and perished. It was dead before she was.
Ugh, that's pretty dark.
Yes, well, we come by our wariness of mortals honestly, Grace.
Gotta say, a lot of the men seem to suck in this game.
I'd like to know a little more about the idols. I am one now, right?
What constitutes a little more in this instance?
Well, what are we? Where did we come from? If an idol is a soul that moves from person to person, it must have started somewhere, right?
Ah, the big question. To which the answer is, nobody knows. I remember the original Persephone only vaguely. Indeed, I'm not even certain she was the original. Was there something before her? How did she get her eidolon? I couldn't tell you. Evidently, we wrote little down in those early days, or were forbidden to, and our memories only stretch back so far. Anything beyond that simply isn't.
But you have an actual magic person who could probably unlock the secrets. She seems like she has books written about everything.
Psst. Isn't it strange to not know where you come from? For all you know, the idols could be aliens.
Aliens? Grace, you watch too many movies.
Gods are okay, but aliens are just wacky fiction.
Fine, yes. It is strange. No, our earliest days aren't the only blanks in our memories, however. We have many. And the last was the day Zeus called us all together to tell us Rome had fallen and we should prepare for war. But did that war occur? I couldn't tell you. The last thing I remember after Rome was 1,000 years later, in the 16th century. I was in a different body, feeling as if no time at all had passed. Athena calls that period the gap. That's what it feels like. All of us experienced it, and not one of us knows why or how.
Pick it, Tay. Definitely does. I feel like they would.
The gap you mentioned. What was that like? Did you just wake up one day, or...?
I wasn't asleep. I lived. I had lives. I passed on my eidolon. I may have known who I was and what I was, but perhaps I was completely unaware. All I know is that one day, Athena came to my nunnery, near Trieste, I think. The moment that I saw her, all the old memories came flooding back. My life during the gap was wiped away in an instant, and it never returned. If someone did that to us, they were powerful indeed.
What about Athena? I mean, she's the one who found you, right? She must have been aware.
Athena woke up on her own, or so she claims, and spent the next century rounding up those idols who remained. Zeus, however, was gone. What became of him, what happened in Rome, we've never pieced it together. It's troubling.
War with the Roman gods. Oh my, there's so many questions.
How did you go from ruling the underworld to opening a nightclub named after it?
I won it in a bet with Dionysus, god of merriment.
Okay, there has to be a story there.
Well, the story is that he was a fool, but a charming one with many patrons. They built him a nightclub as his personal playground. And it was a grand old time for Dionysus in the 1970s, I assure you, but he didn't know how to run a business. By the time disco was ready to die, so was his stupid club. So I offered to make it profitable. If I succeeded, he would turn ownership over to me. He accepted because, frankly, all he wanted to do was drink anyhow. I was successful. The club became mine, and I kicked Dionysus out for never paying his tab.
Sucks to be him.
Dionysus ever sobers up, he might decide to be sore about it, but so far, that hasn't happened.
Okay. Oh my god. It's like never-ending questions.
What's the deal between you and Apollo? The way you two fight.
I've told you how he and the other idols stood by and let me rot with Hades, did I not?
It seems more personal than that.
Okay, there's an old saying that no one escapes the underworld. But that's not true. I did. Once. Not long after Hades kidnapped me. I was homesick, and I missed my mother. Charon took pity on me and allowed me across the Styx. And after that, Grace, I waded through darkness itself to get out of there. Hades chased after me relentlessly, but I evaded him, right up until I got to the very slopes of Olympus. And who do you suppose was the first idol I met?
Uh-oh.
Apollo stood there. I cried out to him, begging him not to let Hades take me, and yet Apollo did as he has always done. Absolutely nothing. Hades was thrilled. And I knew then and there I could never rely on my so-called family for anything, ever again.
Okay, yeah, that painted Apollo in a whole new light. I could see why she'd hate him, and probably could hate him for 1,000 more centuries.
Tell me more about the war. It seems to have had a huge effect on all of you.
That's putting it mildly.
From Aphrodite's song, I know Ares betrayed everyone. What did you do?
Honestly, after my mother was murdered, I barely remember.
Your mother?
Her name was Demeter. Not truly my mother, but an idol who had always cared for me since the early days. I thought we'd be together forever. Then Ares brought those filthy bastards down on us. Demeter was slain by bullets. By bullets. Until that day, I had believed we were untouchable.
Why would Ares do that? Did he get anything out of it in the end, or...?
What he got was a final death. A few of us hunted him down and made sure he paid for his betrayal. He choked on his own blood.
Oh, you've been part of a lot of important things.
Why he did it, who knows? He thought us a lost cause. He wanted glory. He wanted more than we had, living in secret. After that, I don't know. We went from hiding place to hiding place. I didn't even know what Hephaestus had done for us when I found myself on a boat. We might have been gods once, but after the war, we were just refugees, like so many others, fleeing to a distant land.
Oh, okay, nope, found a new question.
Was it hard for the idols to come to the new world? It's just a place like any other, isn't it?
Well, it wasn't the place that was hard, it was the fear. We knew we were vulnerable. We knew mortals could and would kill us. Suddenly, there were rules. We had to be secret. We had to stay close together. We huddled in the shadows and quaked each time the mortals so much as breathed in our direction. We couldn't all live that way. Some of us drifted away, faded into the night without so much as an explanation. That's what's been the hard part. Our inevitable decline in a place where we don't belong. We can pass on our eidolons as often as we like, but it will never truly be home.
That's all I can think of for now. I'll see you around?
Oh, yes. That's where I'll be. Around.
Well, there's a lot of questions. All the questions you could think of. We asked so many freaking questions. That was an overload of questions. Whew. Did we even learn anything in that? I'm sure we did, but I got information overload right now. Oh, Hermes.
Hi, Grace. I can just call you Grace, right?
That's my name. Where's Freddie?
She went out to get snacks. We were gonna watch TV while we waited, but, well, here you are.
What, you and Freddie are friends now? When did this happen?
When I came looking for you. Freddie has this movie that I've never seen. Super cool, right?
Uh-huh.
Oh, would you rather not share your mortal friends? Anyway, I guess Athena wants to talk? I can zip us over to Olympus anytime, if you're free.
Also, how do mortals take down things with power? They literally can make people sing. They can turn people into frogs. They can throw thunderbolts from their hand. Well, that one seems gone. But there's some powers out there, and they're afraid of our pew-pew bullets?
So this is what you do? Ferry people around?
I'm the god of messengers, baby. Travelers, doorways, any kind of transition, really. The old Hermes said that the transition part made even more sense for me, which, extra cool, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I can connect any two doorways anywhere, just like that. So it's super easy to take people wherever. I don't mind.
Okay.
You mentioned the old Hermes a lot. You knew him?
Yeah, I was homeless for a while. It wasn't a great time, and he took me in. Everyone's on the same journey, he used to say. Only the roads are different. And then he went on his journey. Man, I still miss him. every day.
Wait, isn't he still inside you? Aren't you kind of the same person now?
Not yet. It's only been a year. Maybe I'll feel him again one day. That'd be nice.
That's good to know. She has at least a year of still being herself. So all you gotta do is watch Hermes, and then when Hermes starts experiencing things, then you can gauge like how long you have before you'll start experiencing things. Maybe, unless it varies by person.
You say it's easy, but do you like doing all these errands?
Huh. Yeah, I never thought about it. It's nice to have a purpose. Athena is super sweet, and she has a big, important job. Why wouldn't I want to help her out?
You can't be this nice. Are you for real?
Oh, well, the old Hermes used to say that a willingness to serve is more important than a willingness to be served.
How did he survive in New York?
Do I have a choice about seeing Athena?
Or they survive in New
I'm
York?
not in the habit of being at anyone's beck and call.
I mean, I guess you could say no, but I wouldn't. If Athena wants something, she's gonna get it eventually. She had that look in her eyes, like she really wants to talk to you.
She could always come here. Everyone else does.
Weird.
Athena enter the mortal world? And now she doesn't do that ever. Can you imagine?
Yeah, why didn't she leave there?
How does Athena manage never entering the mortal world?
She doesn't have to, I guess. Everyone brings her everything she needs. And that creepy owl of hers? Apollo says it's her eyes out in the world. It's everywhere. Watching.
So what, she just never leaves the building?
She'll go to the Reliquary and places like that. Just never where mortals are. She wears a toga and calls cars iron horses.
That's true, I did see the toga. All right, let's go.
I suppose there's no point in putting it off. Do your thing. Take me to Olympus.
Okay. Oh, when you see Freddie, tell her I'm sorry I couldn't stick around for the movie. And mind if I say something?
Sure.
You've changed. I mean, from the person I met when I first came here. When, you know, you got it together really quick.
Thanks, I guess.
Also, she definitely didn't have a choice. She's gonna die in like a week if she didn't get it together really quick. So, you know, transition period was a little tough for her. Choose your trait. What? I get to change it up? Oh, okay. Well, then let's be, let's be charming.
There you are, Grace. Do have a seat.
I prefer to stand, thanks.
As you like. You've certainly been busy, haven't you? Everywhere I turn, there you are. Including the Reliquary.
Oh.
I'm uncertain how you got access, but even you must have realized it's off limits. Particularly for your mortal friend.
I have to prove my innocence. You're annoyed. You know what happened there.
Am I not supposed to be proving my innocence? Would you prefer I did nothing?
I'd prefer you didn't break any other rules in the meantime.
Such as? Do you have a list I can read, or do you just make them up as you go?
You think our judgment was rash. It was. In truth, I worried that giving you time, letting us all get to know you, would make it harder in the end. I am sorry, Grace. You may not believe it, but I care deeply. I care about what happens to you and to all the idols.
Where has that gotten them? You don't care at all. Like you care about Medusa, then do something.
Do you really?
Let's change it up.
Let's explore where all that caring has gotten them, shall we? You're holding on with it gripped so tight, your knuckles are turning white. But that's not enough, is it? Every idol I've met is either lost or broken, or both. They're all slipping through your fingers. If you actually cared about them, you'd do something about it instead of sitting up here worrying about your precious rules.
Zeus was the first to leave. King of the gods. And we don't even know what became of him. Vanished into the ether. Poseidon was next. Walked out into the seas, never to be heard from again.
My favorite.
Ares betrayed us. Hephaestus saved us. Hades was murdered. And by one of our own. The list goes on.
So you add to it. I show up and you kill me off because you can't be too careful.
We are dying, Grace. I don't mean diminishing or drifting apart. I mean, our immortality is disappearing. Very soon now, the idols will be no more. We are a legacy that spans millennia, dating back to the very dawn of humankind. So yes, I care. I will do anything and everything in my power to avoid that fate, even if it appears unfair.
How does murder help you avoid your race dying off? That's the opposite of what you should be doing.
You feel responsible, don't you? For everything.
I am responsible. Aphrodite wallows in her pain, Apollo in his regrets, and Persephone in her bitterness. Every other idol of power is gone.
So there's only you. You have to shoulder the burden for everyone, like it or not. I'm sorry, Athena. I had no idea.
They won't thank me for it. I know we've put a great deal on your shoulders, Grace. I do. All I called you here to ask is that you please not make my job more difficult than it already is. If you have any other questions or concerns, now's the time to bring them up.
Okay, well, don't talk about Medusa.
Who has access to the reliquary? Is it anyone with a key, or...
Does it matter? You gained access, so clearly it is not difficult to get. Speaking of which, I don't suppose you'll tell me who gave you that key.
Yeah.
Gave it to me. Athena, I had that key all along.
You what?
It's just like you thought. I used it to attack Calliope that night. Then I brought her back home to finish her off.
Ooh, that's not what I was trying to do.
With a plan, baby. Stole my way into godhood. Watch me roar.
That's not funny, Grace.
No,
What's
it's not.
funny is that you thought I'd tell you without getting anything in return.
Okay, tell me about Ben then. What about the... Yeah,
Speaking of the reliquary, you went there, right? Once Hecate told you what happened?
Yeah, I was not impressed by the delay.
If you had known about that, the night Calliope died, would it have made a difference?
The chances are exceedingly small that you attacked her there, it's true. Yet, Calliope was weakened, which made her more vulnerable prey for an enterprising mortal. One she knew. Perhaps the incidents are connected, perhaps not. I cannot afford the risk of uncertainty, Grace. I'm sorry.
Don't want to get Pan in trouble. Let's be careful what we say
What
here.
do you know of Pan?
Pan? That's not a name I expected to hear. Been sniffing around you, has he?
I have some suspicions, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Pan lurks at the edges because he likes it there, seeking out whatever profit he thinks he can get away with. Avoid him, dear, or he'll stick to you like gum to the bottom of your shoe.
Well, we only have a few days left anyway. Is Pan a killer?
Okay, so you don't like Pan much. I get that. But do you think he could kill someone?
We've all killed, my dear. I was once a warrior queen, feared by mortals and gods alike.
Another idol, I mean.
Is that where your investigation has led you? To Pan?
Nope, not yet.
I don't know. Maybe.
I've never thought of Pan as one who would deliberately provoke my ire. But if he saw enough profit in it, thank you, Grace. I'll add them to my list.
Okay, I'll go.
I guess I'll get back to my investigation.
I did not add Pan.
I
That
am
was not
rooting
supposed
for
to be
you,
there.
Grace. If there's another way to resolve this, any way at all, I will take it.
Will you? Really?
Good luck. Feel free to take a cookie on your way out.
Yeah, don't touch them cookies. Some cookies are obviously not good. I'm leaning towards Athena. Maybe I should have got that clever one. Maybe solving a murder.
Don't take it personally, Grace. Athena's first instinct is to follow the rules whenever things get rough. As if she believes that if the idols don't blindly follow every rule to the letter, we'll dissolve into utter chaos.
Well, is she right?
Probably.
Do you think she's telling the truth about the idols dying out?
I'm not sure. If it is true, why hasn't she told the rest of the chorus?
It sounds like she doesn't trust you.
Well, the feeling is mutual. At any rate, I'm afraid we're going to have to disappoint her again.
Uh-oh. What now?
You need to go back to the reliquary, Grace.
I bet I know why. I bet I don't, because I don't have the smarts to do that yet.
What for? Is there something I need to ask Hecate?
The one thing we do not yet know is why Calliope went to the reliquary in the first place.
Okay, I'll bite. How would I find that out? You think she left clues?
We can't ask Calliope what her plan was. But you might be able to remember what she was doing there.
Her memories? But I thought...
That it will take years, yes. But if you go somewhere important to Calliope, or touch something special to her, you'll get flashes, feelings.
Do you want Grace to go to the reliquary so she can have deja vu?
I'm willing to wager the place Calliope met her fate has left its mark in Grace's psyche. We have only to uncover it.
Yeah, I wish when she was dying, she would have said like a clue or like a word, like rosebud, so we'd have an idea of where to search.
Last time Freddy and I were there, Hecate wouldn't let us into the reliquary. Not without Athena's permission.
I'm certainly not suggesting we ask Athena for permission.
Then you mean...
A week ago, I would have said breaking into the reliquary was impossible. Yet it appears Hecate can be surprised. If her book says she will be.
Let's hope the book says that again, I guess.
Unless you've some other plan. I'm all ears, as they say.
The reliquary definitely has alarms.
What about the alarms? I'm not eager to have Asterion chasing me through the fog.
Calliope snuck in without setting off any alarms. At least at first.
And then got murdered.
Well, I'll be following in Calliope's footsteps, won't I? What if I follow the wrong footstep and set them off?
Then they discover you and we apologize profusely.
Will not be a good look, though, just saying.
Definitely will not work.
Are you sure about this? You want me to wander around hoping something comes to me?
I do know something about how memories work after the transition, but no, I'm not certain. You want certainty? Wait until your trial. Without discovering more, the outcome of that is certain.
What if Medusa is lying? What about Pan? We could look into him some more, couldn't we?
Pan?
Oh, my, you're just full of ideas, aren't you? Do you have any suggestions regarding how we might go about doing that?
Deja vu it is.
My boy showed up, and like from the moment he showed up, everybody's been like, "It's Pan, 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 Pan." Let my boy live. What are we looking for?
Let's say I do this. What am I hoping to find?
Some memory of who attacked Calliope, or why she was there. Anything we could work with. I've spoken to almost all the idols, and every single one says they hadn't seen or heard from her. If she was keeping to herself, then why now? What started this? We're missing something important, Grace.
What if Grace goes there and the memory she sees is that she attacked Calliope? A Grace from the future. It'd be a twist.
It would be a good twist. It's not a good twist, but it'd be a twist.
Is there really no other way? This seems a bit desperate.
That's because we are desperate, Grace. Either we take this shot at learning the truth, or we overthrow Athena and the chorus by force, and disregard this stupid trial.
She's joking, right? She's joking, right?
But you wouldn't even have to overthrow. You're 1/4 of the chorus, so it's like there'd only be, and Aphrodite's definitely on her side. So really, we've got 2/4 of the chorus. We have half the chorus on our side, and Apollo, we've already learned, is kind of a baby back bitch. So Athena is the only one we got to worry about, even though she is a goddess warrior. So that could probably be dangerous. I'm just saying we could do it.
Right then, back to the reliquary it is.
Any idea how you want to do this, Grace? Because I'm game to help.
Cool. I'm sure we can figure something out.
We just got yelled at for taking you there. Probably you shouldn't go, but that's just my thoughts.
I can't go in with you. Hecate would sense me right away. I will, however, stay close by. If anything happens, I'll come. Hecate won't stop me. The Minotaur won't stop me. Nothing will.
That's a good person to have on our side.
Gosh, it almost seems like you care.
Ugh, can we just get on with this already?
I don't know how this happened, but it did. Here we are. Actually, yeah, I do know it opened. We did it. That's how it happened.